kalsın mesaj önce. It's not audible, sir.
Dear participants, we are just starting in next 5 minutes. Good afternoon, everyone. The capacity to learn is a gift. The ability to learn is a skill. The willingness to learn is a choice. With this famous quote by Brian Hubbard, I welcome back all passionate learners and second session speaker, Dr. Shailesh Kasande sir, CEO and Group Director, Suryadatta Group of Institutes. It's a great pleasure for me to introduce a person who achieved excellence in academic fraternity through innovation, dedication, and dynamics, Dr. Shailesh Kasande sir. He is CEO and Group Director of Suryadatta Group of Institutes. He is Professor in Marketing Management and Strategy. He has over 2 decades of experience in leading institutions of higher education. He has set up institutions of learning within India and abroad in collaboration with local as well as overseas academic bodies. His teaching competencies include business strategy, consumer behavior, logistics and supply chain management, marketing strategy, operation research, quantitative methods and research methodology. He is the member of Academic Council and Chairman of Board of Studies, Production, Operation Management at SPPU. He is also the member of Institute Research Committee at Symbiosis Center for Management and Human Resource Development. He is Chairman of Board of Studies BPA at Modern Education Society, Kevadia College of Commerce, Pune. He is a life member of Indian Society for Training and Development, National HRD Network, Higher Education Forum, and Indian Society for Technical Education. It is an honor and privilege for us, sir, to have with us today. Now I would like to request today's guest speaker, Dr. Shailesh Kasande, sir, to put some light on big data analytics. Sir, please.
Very good afternoon to one and all. Am I clearly audible?
Yes, sir.
Hello?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So I see over 100 participants for this FDP. So at the outset, let me congratulate DY Patil Institute for organizing this wonderful FDP under the scheme of ATAL, the government scheme of ATAL. So, and I also congratulate all the participants for making, or I would say participating in this learning journey, as was explained by the coordinator prior to introducing me. So thank you one and all at the outset. The theme for this FDP, the ATAL FDP, is quite relevant, and it is, I would say, contemporary in the kind of world that we are living, and more so from the perspective of all the teachers of business management. All of you are aware that decision making is one of the key aspects of any manager, leader, or an entrepreneur. I use all the three terms, manager, leader, as well as entrepreneur, because these days the demarcating line between all of these three are getting blurred. So even as a manager, you have to lead and you have to have intrapreneurial or entrepreneurial approach as well. And as an entrepreneur also, you have to lead and at times manage as well. So generally in management education, we overemphasize the role of manager, but all these three areas of management, or rather being a manager, being a leader, and being an entrepreneur, all of them have decision making as a very key fundamental aspect. Rather, if you recollect back your first course in business management, but typically at that time it was, say, principles and practices of management, and these days it is maybe perspectives on management and so on. You might realize that there was a management guru who said that decision making is the only function of manager, or only function of management. So the point I am trying to emphasize in the context of this particular FDP is decision making these days is highly data driven, and that is where the theme of this FDP comes into picture, where we talk of management information system. We might speak of big data analytics, we might speak of business intelligence, we might speak of data science. So may I request everyone to please put yourself on mute. May I request participants to please put yourself on mute. Yeah, thank you. So the idea is that most decision making, even in the softest of the disciplines like HR, people decisions, so we find that everything is being driven, everything is being driven
Sir, your video is not visible, sir.
No, I have not turned on the video because there is a bandwidth issue at my end. But am I audible clearly?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay.
Sir, now you are audible.
Yeah. Okay. Earlier I was not audible.
In between, sir. Now
Okay.
it's audible.
Okay,
Audible,
fine,
sir.
fine.
Audible.
Thank you. Okay, so the point I was trying to stress is that the world in which we live is highly data driven in terms of the decision making aspect of data, as well as various other aspects. But today, since the theme of the FDP is more on the management information systems and the allied cohorts, or the contemporary terms of big data science, big data analytics, business analytics, we are going to focus more on those aspects. So even the softer aspects of management, such as HR are these days data driven. We talk of employee engagement in terms of numbers, right? We talk of return on our people assets. So everything is data driven, and all of this is also has wider implications for organizations, businesses, societies, economies, and nations as well. So these days, China is in the news for several reasons, most of them are not so good reasons. And you will realize that there is a real or a perceived threat about cyber warfare being unleashed by China in various ways. And one of the aspects of that is data security or data privacy or information related aspects. So data or information, although there is a distinction between these two terms in terms of the rawness and the quality of the information. So anything that is raw is data, and anything that is processed meaningfully is information. I guess all of us are aware of that. So these days data is commanding a lot of premium, or data is intelligence, or data is money, or data is security, or lack of data is lack of, say, competitive advantage. So therefore, the context of this particular seminar or FDP, this is the backdrop against which we are going to discuss this. So let's kind of try and understand and declutter what exactly is this particular theme about. I'm sure all of you have come across the famous Forbes article which says that data is the new oil. And in the closer home in India, with Reliance and Jio and various other things coming up, you all perceive very clearly that how business conglomerates, how say startups are looking at data as the currency or something that keeps the economy moving, or something on which you have to capitalize to gain competitive advantage. So if you don't have data, you don't have visibility. You do not know how to scale up, right? And therefore data is something which is leading to competitive advantage for across all types of businesses, across all sectors, across all scales. Several revenue models are built around data, collecting data, sharing data, analyzing data. Google is one of the most, I would say, wonderful examples of how they have built their entire revenue model by capitalizing on one single word, which is search, or one single activity, or one single human need, which is searching, and searching for almost everything under the sun in a digital format. So revenue models are being built and business models are being built around data as such. And therefore, I don't think we all have to overemphasize the need for data. So data is something that is driving the individual as well as society and economy in today's world. We all are aware of these companies, what are traditionally known as FANG companies: Facebook, Amazon, Apple, Netflix, and Google at the global scale. And we know that they are so big that their, I would say, turnover or balance sheet size is too large as compared to even the GDPs of several nations. In the Indian context, the recent example is Jio. And if we talk of the government, then Arogya Setu as an app is again where data is getting collected. So data is all around us. Rather, each one of us, every moment, is using data, or we are contributing to data as well. So you are in a way contributing to the data deluge. So right from the time we wake up through using a mobile alarm, and maybe we go for a walk with the app installed in your mobile phone, or with a wearable device or whatever, right from the morning till we go to bed, we all are contributing to the data that is being generated the world over. But then we don't have to essentially speak only about data in a quantitative sense, or data only in a, say, computational or an IT or a cloud and AI and ML and natural language processing. We shouldn't only look at data from the technology or a quantitative perspective. As business managers, as faculty members in business management, we have to look at data from multiple lenses or multiple layers or multiple perspectives. And One of the larger macro perspectives is how do we create data driven organizations, or is there a culture of being data driven in the organization? Is everyone looking at data in the right way? Is data accessible to everyone? Is data clean? Is data residing in silos, or is it connected? Is visibility there? And does everyone in the organization, or does the organization have a culture of taking decisions based on data? So there are several aspects, especially since this is a faculty development program. The particular theme is so rich that it also presents to us several avenues, several opportunities even for doing research. So it has been established fairly confidently that these days organizations which are skillful, organizations which are adept, organizations which have mastered the art and science of using data are those which are going to succeed, flourish, and they are going to create the blue oceans, or they are going to be the, I would say, the leaders, market leaders in their industry. Not only in their industry, but they will obliterate, they will wipe out decisions, they will wipe out the boundaries between various industries, and they will create new industries. So examples are all around us. So understanding data, using data, analyzing data, visualizing data, presenting data, putting various mathematical and statistical computational models on that, and integrating that data across the organization, beyond the organization, across the value chain, and within the organization in all our functions is something, is what is data driven culture. So if one has to succeed, and even today, since we are in an academic environment, even academics is no exception to this. So we will have to use a lot of data about our own functioning, our students, the outcomes, the effectiveness of the pedagogy and the assessment, and so on and so forth. Likewise, business organizations talk of using data for effective customer, say, life cycle management or customer journey mapping. Or in an HR function, you could use it from a HR perspective in terms of employee life cycle engagement. And the government could use it, like you are looking at in terms of the COVID, how data driven various aspects are coming up in terms of managing or bending the curve or flattening the curve, and so on. And the economy and various other forensics, etc., are the traditional ways wherein we look at data from different perspectives. So this brings us to the very logical question of what is big data. And there is no uniform definition. There are multiple definitions of this particular aspect. But then typically, when we talk of big data, we talk of scale, we talk of diversity, we talk of complexity. And from IT perspective, it is said that they need a new architecture. So I'm going to explain all of this as we move along. But in terms of a definitional perspective, it is about scale, diversity, complexity, the need for a new architecture in terms of the, as I said, the organization or the IT department or the cloud architecture, those of you who come from the computational computer science field. And then it talks of new statistical approaches also, new algorithms and analytics, so that we as individuals, as groups, as teams, as departments, as organizations, as economies, we can manage it and extract value so that we can gain insight. The fundamental thing is, how do we extract value? Data by itself doesn't have any meaning. So if you look at this from a very historical perspective, there was something like an materials requirement planning, and it became material resource planning, and then came ERP, and then we had all of the ERP movement all over the world, and then we had MIS and business intelligence, and today we are talking of this context of business analytics and data science as such. So having defined big data, or the, as we understand, we need to look at what makes big data big. Why the word big? In fact, the word big also doesn't give us the sense of the kind of gigantic, I would say, contours or volume of the data. So here is an infographic which talks of what happens on the internet in 1 minute. So it says that 4,04,444 hours of video is streamed by Netflix users in 1 minute. Understand the volume of we are talking of. Okay, around 2,704 app installations happen. Around Amazon alone ships around 7,000 packages in a minute. Okay, one of the Zoom meeting is right now happening, and it says around 2 lakh, more than 2 lakh participants participate in meetings on Zoom. Now remember, in Zoom, one Zoom meeting itself creates such a huge volume of data, right? So who are the participants, where did they log in from, what was said, what was recorded. So every transaction, every instance, every moment is creating data. We talk of social media apps like Twitter, Instagram, networking or productivity apps like Microsoft Teams, WhatsApp, and various other things. So in effect, even in the not so commercial world or even in the social world, a huge amount of data is being created every minute. And this data is increasingly getting stored because the volume of the storage devices itself is diminishing. So earlier we might be requiring larger volumes of storage devices, but today you see a good standard quality iPhone has storage capacity more than what a server had maybe a decade ago. So the volume of the storage device is reduced and the capacity has increased, and the rate or the price at which or the cost of storing data as well as accessing data has diminished. All of these are feeding into the data revolution, because finally, even if data gets created, it has to be stored, it has to be accessed, it has to be transmitted. So all the conditions are ripe for this data revolution in terms of this particular chain of right from data creation to storage to transmission to maybe retrieval as well. So when we talk of what makes big data big, we talk of certain characteristics of big data. One of the characteristics and the starting point in this discussion is always the term called volume of data. And as we said, as we looked at in 1 minute, what all things happen. So in 1 minute, the size of data that is being generated across the globe is huge. So volume of the big data refers to the size of the data, and size of the data then adds, or I would say underpins the value, potential value that we can derive, that we can extract from the data under considerations. So if the data is not really voluminous enough, then we don't really consider it as as big data. The term big data itself is talking of the size as one of the fundamental characteristics. Then we have variety. Look at how, so earlier data was considered merely as numbers, okay? But today we talk of variety of data. So if I post a birthday wish to my friend on Facebook, then it is a textual data. If someone tweets along with a, say, some economics of the some statistics about the economy, then it is numeric data. Then you have photographs, then you have audio, then you have video, then you have data which is getting streamed in terms of, say, stock market prices, or data that is being streamed in terms of maybe the weather data, right? The climate related data. Then you have time series data. So when we talk of time series, we are essentially talking of data that is being generated at regularly defined intervals. So say today morning's temperature was so and so, or today the sun rose at so and so time, tomorrow it will rise at so and so time. So likewise, on a daily basis, we get the sunrise and sunset at a particular location, latitude, longitude on the face of the earth. That is time series data. Or when we talk of, say, stock market prices, or when we talk of inflation, or when we talk of year on year, say, attrition rate, or year on year profitability, all of these business or general data, all of this is time series data. Huge amount of data is getting created in social media. We all are very well aware of that. So I will not dwell much time on social media created data. But then there are data coming in all of these forms. Data could also be static and data could be live in terms of a streaming data. So if this particular, say, Zoom meeting gets streamed on YouTube, it becomes a live streaming data, as in terms of, say, Netflix and so on. Or data could be static, that is, it doesn't move, but it is stored in certain particular format in particular, say, server or data storage devices. So every single application, if I go to a retail outlet, or even if I just visit, say, Amazon, and I don't buy anything, even then that particular information search is also creating a lot of data. So someone from some location has logged in using some particular device, and that particular individual has this particular age, gender, this particular demographic characteristics. He is our first time user or a first time customer or a repeat customer, and he referred to, or he browsed these 5 particular categories of this. He put 2 in the cart and he abandoned the cart, or she abandoned the cart. And if the transaction goes through, then this is the payment criteria, this is the shipping address. So we just have limitless kind of avenues that are generating data, and all of this has a variety. So variety in terms of what is the nature of the data. So earlier it was more quantitative only, but today it is audio, video, images, text, and so on and so forth. Then we talk of velocity. So we said that data is not static, so data is moving. So data is generated in a very rapid manner. It is generated at a speed, okay, a speed which was unthought of earlier. So data is generated as well as processed today fast. So when I talk of stock market data, then it is generated as well fast, as well as if suppose you are a day trader, then you would process that data fast and identify what are the points at which maybe an order has to be placed, or if you have sold something or short covering done, then you'll have to cover the order. So data generation and processing, airline data, retail data, weather data, okay, all of this is generated as well as processed in a at a very rapid scale. And why do we need to do this? Because that is what the demand is in terms of the growth and development of the economy and the society. So we talk of, say, the police, maybe they are analyzing a lot of data about forensic of say fictitious transactions or suspicious transactions, the income tax authorities or the cyber police, so on and so forth. So data is being generated fast as well as processed fast. So we talk of volume, we speak about variety, we speak about velocity as such. Then the next characteristic is the variability of data. Remember, we all know something known as Wikipedia, right? So Wikipedia is something where anyone can go and edit. It's not like the Encyclopedia Britannica, which were wherein all the information over there was absolutely very perfect. But on a Wikipedia, maybe you and me can go and create. It is an open source kind of a thing, right? At the same time, a lot of, like the WhatsApp University, it is said in a very negative connotation manner that such and such thing I found on the WhatsApp University, or likewise on the Facebook or various other social media. So data that is available in the cyber world is not necessarily reliable, or it is not necessarily consistent. So we'll have to check at so all this data has inherent variability, and variability at times also has inconsistency. So for those who are analyzing this data, this variability or inconsistency is something which is a very disadvantageous thing, and it hampers the process to manage the data effectively. So we look at all these characteristics, and we will have to, I would say, factor in these characteristics into data analytics as business decision makers before we put some analytical models on that. So what makes big data big? Volume, variety, okay, velocity, and variability. Then we look at veracity. So the quality of the data being captured can vary greatly. You all are aware, garbage in, garbage out. So if you process the wrong or the, I would say, not exactly correct data, then the accuracy of your analysis, the accuracy of the models, the statistical models that you build on this data would be questionable. So data that is around us, part of that data is signal, which means that is the real information. So it is interpretable and you can derive certain insights. You can really make some sense out of that kind of data. So that is the signal. Then of this signal, some of these could be interpretable, and then some of the signals are novel. Novel means they give you newer insights. They have some novelty value. But a large amount of data is also noise. So one has to understand as a business analyst, or maybe as a someone who is using data science, or someone who is using analytics for decision making, what are the limitations that noise places on these statistical models that one is putting at, and how do you separate the noise? Okay, so that's something that also is a characteristic of big data. So veracity as such. Okay, then we look at complexity. So complexity arises out of the permutations and combinations that happen through all these dimensions. So the source, the nature of the data, the speed, the purpose, the quality, all of that complicates the entire scene in such a way that we cannot, it is beyond human comprehension to understand this in that particular earlier perspective. So large volumes of data coming from multiple sources, and we have to link them. So some data is coming from my retail outlet, some data is coming from my dealer channel, some data is coming from my website, some data is coming from the app. So all these data sources, and some is coming from the field, maybe the Salesforce, and so on and so forth. So all the data has to be linked, it has to be connected, it has to be correlated. Connecting this data, this diverse set of data, is therefore leading to complexity. So only when we connect them, when we link them, we correlate and try and understand how each of them contributes to the bigger picture. It would be insufficient, or it would be also foolish to look at only part of the data. So one has to look at all of this in a very connected fashion. Only then we will be able to grasp the information, and only then we will be able to derive the insights. So therefore, data management becomes a very complex process. And this complexity is an essential characteristic of big data. Big data will not be simple in that particular context. Even if I talk of the general non-technical, non-engineering, non-IT, I would say aspects or understanding of big data, we all understand this very intuitively, that there is a lot of data that is being generated through web traffic. So suppose you want to buy a sports shoes, and the moment you search for on Google for sports shoes, say Nike or Adidas or whatever brand, and then maybe tomorrow you are on Facebook, you might see advertisements of sports shoes over there also. Okay, or I go to Amazon and I search a book on, say, big data analytics, then Amazon tells me that those who have purchased this particular book have also purchased these ABC. So recommendation systems, right? Or affinity. What is this customer most likely to buy? Or the moment you go to Amazon and put something in the cart, then you might get a mail saying that you have left your cart, the purchasing cart or the shopping cart, unfinished. The agenda is unfinished. Okay, so we are getting tracked, and this has implications. I'm going to speak something about information privacy and customer, I would say, rights towards the end. So all of this, we are getting, I would say, tracked, and we are feeding into this huge universal data machine, I would say. So if I drive a new age car, and if I'm driving from point A to point B, the analytics of the car tells me that, look, you have oversped in this particular, on this particular stretch of the road, your total duration of the travel was so and so, average speed was so and so, these many times you accelerated, these many times you decelerated the car, total, say, mileage or total kilometers covered is so and so. So huge data getting created everywhere, one of which is obviously the internet. Then social media, there are sensors. So in an industrial context, you will find that there are sensors which keep on capturing data at every time interval. So it could be data about temperature of a particular product, or it could be data about, say, humidity, so on and so forth. So there are sensors in the industrial setup which keep on collecting data in a particular business process or industrial process. Then we all know about all kinds of financial data, stock market data, transactions, and various other data that is getting generated, collected, and transmitted. Then there is data about weather. There is data about traffic, with all the civic bodies installing so many cameras. and tracking the traffic in a particular city or in a particular metro, large amount of data is being collected about the traffic. And that's how Google Map actually tells you which are the alternative ways. So we all are benefiting in more than one ways because of these big data analytics. But we are also exposing ourselves to certain things, which is about the customer privacy aspect, right? Likewise with retail. Now medical, it is being, I would say, projected, or it is being said, or it is being put forth that the legal profession and the medical profession and the academic profession, these three professions are the next three things that are going to be disrupted big time because of AI, machine learning, big data, this entire family of tools and advances, I would say. Because it is being said that by analyzing thousands and billions of pages about medical history or legal history, there could be a system by which the intelligence of the lawyer can be captured by the recommendation system. These may be primitive at this stage. We don't know in terms of what impact it is going to have, but this is what is the, I would say, the potential of big data analytics. And not all of that is positive. Some of them is quite disruptive in more than one ways. Industrial automation, we talk of Internet of Things, or we talk of Internet of Everything, that is also a terminology, or we talk of cyber physical systems. So there are physical systems like a, say, automobile assembly shop, and there is a cyber system, and both of them are interfacing. So industrial automation, okay, supply chain, data is getting generated across the supply chain at various points. So you don't have to really place an order automatically. If you have a fast moving atom and the inventory is dropping beyond a particular level, based on your service policies and inventory carrying policies, etc., you are going to actually get the order or the stock keeping unit delivered at your place. Imagine the kind of data which research bodies like, say, for example, the NASA might be creating, or the satellites in space are creating. All of these, and one can really understand, looking at this slide, the earlier characteristics of big data in terms of velocity, volume, veracity. Okay, so something like NASA will not have noise in that data, but social media will have a lot of noise, right? So that again brings further complexity. There are examples where based on what people have searched on Google, or based on what people have posted on social media, the upcoming trend, like say a tsunami or a pandemic, can be projected, which is all about what social media analytics.
Sir, sorry to interrupt you in between, but
Yes.
your voice is low.
Voice is low?
Yeah, participants are saying they are unable to hear you properly.
Oh, just a minute. Just a minute. All along it has been slow?
Sir, just last 10 minutes it's been low.
But I am, in fact, is this better anyway? Is it so for all the participants, or only some specific participants?
So many are just putting it on the WhatsApp group. That's why I thought, because it's already.
Okay, I will try and repeat some of the things. If people have lost it, I will just try and repeat it.
Yeah, sure, sir.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you.
Now it's audible, sir, properly.
Okay. Thank you for pointing out, and I regret the inconvenience.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. So the point I was trying to stress all along is that whether it is our personal life, social life, financial life, educational life, whether it is the government, whether it is big businesses like Amazon, Reliance, Facebook, Google, or whether it is startup, or whether even we talk of, say, NGOs who to speak about the ills of the society, everyone is using a lot of data. And the points on the slide, I was using those as illustration of how we create data and we contribute to the data. So the big picture, understanding this big picture is fundamental, because then it tells us that something else is required to manage this entire scenario. And that is where the technology tools of artificial intelligence, machine learning, natural language processing. All of these come together to add value and give us insights. So this is a new paradigm. What I'm trying to state over here is the earlier paradigm was something else. So typically typically I'm addressing this audience as a faculty, since this is an FDP, and typically we are taught in terms of a particular paradigm of statistics and hypothesis testing and so on and so forth. But this is an entirely new paradigm in terms of big data. Big data or data analytics or the data science or the world we live in also has data which is unstructured, semi-structured and structured. So you don't know whether tweet will be only a text, or it will be a movie, or it will be an article, or it would be an image, right? So it is very unstructured, or it could have sound. But then the structured data is like our, say, student database, where we talk of roll number of the student, name of the student, his specialization, where he comes from, what he did at the graduation, or typically the data that would have been there or that is existing in the old world IT systems like the ERP system or the supply chain or the CRM system, or typical standardized, well-defined workflows. That is a structured data. But today, a lot of data is coming up in an unstructured manner, and that is what is driving customer insights. That is what is driving business value creation. That is what is driving new revenue models. That is where people are trying to monetize the data and create new sources of revenues and business models. So someone tweeting to the, say, minister saying that I am struggling to get a passport, even after following up with the passport office or complying with the processes, immediately sets into motion a whole stream of actions, and the foreign minister or himself or herself intervenes, and the person's problem is resolved. This is not typical of what a customer complaint feedback form is there on the website, where I say this is my customer code and this is the type of the complaint and this is the incident, right? So we are living in a world of an unstructured and semi-structured and structured data all coming together to create the new picture. And then you could have customer complaints, or you could have customer praise, or you could have employee complaints, or whatever it is in terms of say clicking a particular video about poor customer service or excellent customer service. So all of this is coming together. So unstructured, semi-structured, as well as structured. And managing all of this, again, linking. Remember, we spoke of linking all of this. Linking is important. By itself, this is not going to add value. So this is the way many a times the difference in the two paradigms is being looked at. So the left-hand side speaks of the old world, rational, predictable, traditional. And the right-hand side is kind of agile, okay, flexible, modern, more contemporary, the current one. So we have to look at these changing ways of looking at data, and the way data is harnessed, the way the data is applied, the way data is mined to create or extract value and insights. We also come across these two terms as twins, data science and data analytics. Without making it too technical, let me point out that data analytics in a way is a subset of data science. So data science looks at a larger continuum, a larger gamut of activities and objectives, whereas data analytics is looking at building particular statistical models and answering particular predefined questions as such. So data science is more comprehensive, whereas analytics is slightly narrower or more focused, the way depending on the way you define the two terms. Therefore, the skill sets required and the organizational capabilities would also differ in both these terms. Although we should not get too entangled into the terminologies, but we need to understand that they are two different terms, although they are related. So from an academic or a practitioner or a research or an entrepreneur or a manager, leader, whatever way you look at, what are the issues in big data analytics? So typically the issues revolve around these facets. How do I capture data? How do I know what are the various touch points where I need to collect data from? How do I know, how do I capture this data? Then how do I curate the data? As we said, not all the data that I capture is signal, right? There is a lot of noise also. So how do I curate the data? What are the analytical models that I can put on? What are the statistical models? What are the analytical models that I can put on? So do I always look at cause-effect relationship, or do I look at correlations? So this is a fundamental, again, change in paradigm. Traditional research emphasizes cause-effect relationship. In a big data environment, we speak of correlation and patterns. So what are the analytical models? What are the statistical models that I can apply for analysis of this data? How do I search this data? Okay, how do I share the data across silos, across departments? Then we're talking of storage, and storage which leads to efficient searching, sharing, retrieval, and so on. Okay, how is data transferred? Then, because every one of us cannot understand numbers or statistics, and management or the higher authorities or the business, they are not really interested in the statistical way of looking at data. So can I use storytelling? Can I use data visualization? How can I drill down very effectively? So those of you who come from the analytics background might be aware of a simple tool like, say, Tableau. So how do I visualize data? And how do I share? How do I communicate this data to those who matter, both upwards, downwards, as well as beyond the organization? So how do I use my data to tell a story? And that is where data visualization will come into picture. And lastly, a larger ethical, social governance issue is information privacy. You might have read these days in the newspaper that all these FANG CEOs or the top management is getting grilled in the US, or there is an act which is known as a GDPR. So an act about customer data privacy. Or there was an RTI application about who developed the Arogya Setu app and what is the safety of that particular data that we are putting on the Arogya Setu app. So whether we like it or not, on one hand, by sharing the data, by accepting cookies, by accepting all kinds of conditions, when we install an app and I say I accept, we are getting a lot of benefits. Benefits like maybe some there. So if I click, say, Meghna is my friend, and Meghna's friend also is likely to be my friend, and that is what the entire model of Facebook is based upon. And Google is looking at search and capturing all my data. So Google knows that I have traveled from my residence to, say, Pune University or to Deccan or Koregaon Park on this and this date, and therefore Google knows more about where all I have been rather than even I know. It is jokingly said that Google knows more about me or each one of us than we know about ourselves. But at the same time, are we giving a lot of power? Are we divulging too much to the businesses and to these so-called new era information-driven, information-intensive, data-driven, data-intensive businesses? We are sitting ducks in some way in terms of what we have, our digital footprint as such. So information privacy. So that is also an issue in terms of the governance or the social aspect. So data capture, as we said earlier, I will not dwell much more on this. Multiple devices capture the data, and with smart cities and smart homes, and you have come across news item which speak about how Alexa has malfunctioned and so on and so forth. So huge amount of data in terms of the capturing of the data. Data flows are in terms of the transactions, are in terms of social media, are in terms of enterprise content. So purchase order itself is a data, right? So enterprise content, and then mobile devices and so on. Companies therefore, or organizations therefore, leverage data to adapt to products and services. So a data-driven decision making is a more confident decision making rather than a decision making which is based only on gut feel or on experience or on consensus or on team decision. Okay, and why is this most important today? Because we talk of scale, we talk of global scale, we talk of complexity. Okay, scope, scale and scope both. So better decision making leading to, at the operational level, greater productivity, greater operational efficiency, cost reduction, and therefore reduce risk to business. On a more important level, it talks of meeting customer needs better, anticipating customer needs, and in a I would say critical way, also creating new customer needs when there are none. So customer needs is another aspect. It helps to optimize operations, optimize infrastructure so I can manage my resources more effectively, so I can get more within less. Okay, identify new revenue models, reveal patterns and anomalies. So what the forensic experts, the cyber guys do is understand patterns and anomalies. So this is not fitting into the normal pattern as such. So strategies, okay, understanding complex events and forensics and trends, as I said earlier. Bringing the data to the analytics was the earlier paradigm. So it focused on structuring data. It was a linear approach. It was not integrated. It was episodic. Okay, and then the kind of output was there was a predefined report and a dashboard, and the sampling was done to fine tune the algorithms. So this was the old world idea of bringing data to analytics. We'll not spend much time on this, but let's look at the other part. The today's theme or today's paradigm is bringing analytics to the data. So understand what is the data and you apply analytics on that. So mobilizing the data, immediate ingestion of new data sources. So you don't have to wait. So there is no batch processing or there is no static view of data. Data is getting collected and analyzed on the fly, on the go kind of a thing. So there is a continuous data discovery. Remember, the word used is discoveries, which means that you can evolve from a particular level to another level, awareness level. Okay, so data discovery is there. It is self-service data visualization. So we talk of telling the story in terms of the data. Data itself is a service, data itself is a platform, and we are integrating both structured and unstructured data. I'll skip this slide. I'll just highlight one point. The traditional BI, because the earlier session I guess was on MIS. So MIS and BI traditionally looked at descriptive and diagnosis analytics, whereas big data talks about predictive analytics. We're going to discuss this briefly. Fundamentally, earlier data paradigm was what happened and why did it happen. The present paradigm is what is happening, what are the patterns, and what are the insights that I get. So present analytics paradigm is more based on correlation, whereas the earlier one was more tilted or biased, I would say, towards causation. So to summarize, we talk of 4 kinds of decisions that analytical models in the big data analytics framework are presently offering us. At the basic level, they talk of what happened historically, so descriptive analytics. And then why did it happen, which is diagnostic, which was the old paradigm. Today we are extending from hindsight to insight to foresight. So hindsight is looking backward, foresight is looking ahead. Okay, so predictive analytics and prescriptive analytics. What will happen is predictive. So can I build a predictive model about what would happen to, say, customer retention in telecom if so and so thing happen, or say in health insurance, right? So what will happen is predictive analytics. And what are the levers to make it happen? How can we make it happen is prescriptive analytics. So the top 2 boxes are the ones where all the focus these days is getting, all the energy, efforts, revenues, budgets are focused upon, and that is where new value insights are derived by business based on the analytical models. So in one particular sentence, if I were to sum up, how do we move from an MIS to a data analytics or a business analytics driven organization and culture? The simple answer is moving from hindsight to foresight, as is explained in this particular graphic. So thank you one and all. We are now open for questions. You can unmute yourself and ask the questions, or you can post it in the chat window as well. Or the organizers can take up the questions and read out from the chat window. Thank you. I guess I have just finished in right time.
Thank you, sir, for such an informative session. I request all the participants, if you have any questions, kindly put it in the chat box. Sir, there is one question. Is big data analytics a good career?
Why not? Although, I don't know whether it is a student or a faculty asking the question, but big data analytics and data science are very promising careers. Okay, it is a blend of partly technology, partly understanding the business domain, and partly understanding the statistical and economic models. So there are three complementary skill sets that one requires in this particular area: statistical and mathematical modeling, then business domain subject matter expertise, SMEs as they are called, and then we also need to understand a bit of technology, if not everything of technology. By here technology, I mean IT, cloud, and other things.
Sir, there is another question from the participants. Sir, how the data noise can be resolved?
See, there are various algorithms where they put in. This is a slightly more tuned towards the IT algorithm part. I'm not an expert in that area. I'm more in the business and the data visualization and computational side. However, I would say with whatever limited knowledge I have on that particular aspect, there are tools and algorithms which do that particular task for us.
Thank you, sir. Another question is whether we can Dijkstra algorithm, Ford Fulton, and set covering problems in analytic model.
I'm sorry, I can't answer that. You ask me anything about the statistical and other models, but this is not something which I have an expertise on. So I would like to skip that question. Maybe some other resource person would be in a better position to address.
Yeah, sir. It's okay. Any other questions from the participants?
I think they have not understood or completely understood. They are at one end of the curve.
So they have understood. Thank you so much. Sir, there is another question. Which capability does big data analytics provide?
Capability in terms of just whoever has asked the question, are you talking of what capabilities should we have or what capabilities does it lend to the business? If it is lending capability to the business, as I said, you understand of behavior, whether it be of the employee or the customer or a bank account or a stock market script or a COVID virus or anything. So whatever entity you are analyzing, big data provides you newer analytical insights in terms of how the phenomenon is panning out. And then you can apply it in a public context like controlling a pandemic, or you can apply it in a for-profit context like creating a new business model or a service revenue stream or improvising your customer service and so on and so forth. If we talk of our own capabilities required, as I said earlier, we talk of our own capabilities of understanding. So one needs to talk to the data. You have to make sense of what the data is and then apply the right algorithms, the statistical models. That's what the capability is. Another question I see from Puneet Kumar is how big data is helpful for HR? Yeah, anything wherever you are looking at data and certain business outcomes, like say employee attrition management or employee productivity, or how do you measure the return on investment of a HR resource? All of that is data driven decision. So you can use data, people analytics or HR analytics are used, which is part of big data itself or big data analytics itself.
Sir, there is another question. How big data analysis can be used in cognitive intelligence?
Wherever we are talking of understanding the human interface and human behavior and predicting human behavior, these aspects will come into picture.
Okay, sir. And how big data analytics is different than machine learning?
Machine learning is an aspect of within big data or data science. You have machine learning as one of the methods. You see, it is an entire family: artificial intelligence, deep learning, neural networks, cloud on the infrastructure side. Then you have statistical computing models. So you have this cluster analysis. All of these are tying together. Okay.
Okay, sir. Another question is, as big data analytics software packages are expensive in nature, so how someone can trade off in terms of value by installing big data analytics? This is the question asked by one of the participants.
No, I didn't get the question, very frankly. Although, again, I am not exactly a completely out and out IT expert. I would say, well, with whatever limited understanding I have about that, there are many open source software or packages also. And you can do a lot of analytics. Like I have been myself doing using R. Then we talk of doing some analytics in terms of sentiment analysis on Twitter, etc. And you don't have to really pay for it if you are talking of researching this particular area. Very obviously, if you are talking of, say, cloud architecture, etc., then you have to pay for that. That's something else altogether.
So last question. So can we use any other tool for data analysis except Hadoop?
Again, I would not be in a position to answer that because I am not a computer science expert. Okay, so sorry for that.
It's okay.
Ma'am, can I ask a question?
Yes, madam, you can ask.
Okay, thank you so much. Sir, I'm Dr. Priya. I just want to ask you, you brief us about the big data, and the word big is only related to the volume of data more, or
No,
yeah, sir. You can
I
give,
spoke about several characteristics,
yeah.
which are volume, velocity, variety, veracity, complexity. Simple volume, only volume will not be big data. You see, one can have a huge amount of data only in the form of text format. But then that is not what today's big data is. We talk of variety. Variety would come from different sources. We talk of velocity, wherein data is coming fast. So streaming data like that, okay, live data. Then we talk of complexity because it is arising from all kinds of places and actors and events and entities and sources. Then we talk of connecting all of this. Then we talk of noise in the data. So purely volume is not what big data is, although historically that is what triggered the term big data. Okay, but today big data is not only volume, it is volume, velocity, veracity, complexity, many other things.
So can you tell us more about the noise part you just mentioned?
What is noise? Typically in any signal that we get, when I say signal, suppose I talk of a regression model, okay, so we have something which is explained by the model and we have something which is not explained by the model. So the model needs refinement. So whatever is unexplained can be either an error, and partly it is about the noise. So noise is something which is less useful in a signal, which is to be ignored, but it has to be identified. As someone asked earlier, how do you identify or segregate noise? So signal has a useful component and signal has a useless component. That useless component is noise. Okay, that has to be eliminated and not processed. If you process noise along
Thank
with
you
the
so much, sir.
useful component, then it is the signal is weak. Okay, a signal which has more noise and less
Okay.
useful component is a useless signal for us. So this is in terms of the data. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you so much, sir.
Any other questions from the participants?
See,
Okay.
this entire big data is a huge ocean. You all, as I said earlier, pick your capabilities and your temperament. Some of us are very good at managing statistical models and applying those. So if you are highly inclined towards that aspect, pick that particular dimension of big data. If you are a subject matter expert, pick that dimension and be an expert in that particular area. If you come from a IT dimension, then you look at cloud and various other technologies and the coding part of it, and then you can become one aspect or one dimension of big data analytics you can pick up. So this is the way one has to, I would say, develop oneself to be an expert in this particular area.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much, sir, for giving an excellent coverage to the topic Big Data Analytics. Sir, on behalf of DYPIMR and all the participants, I'm very thankful for this informative session. The topics covered by you are really helpful to understand the concept of Big Data Analytics as a layman. Sir, we are really thankful to you for making time in your busy schedule to speak to this FDP. Thank you once again, sir.
Thank you, everyone.
Dear participants, FDP feedback link for the session 2 is already shared in the Zoom chat box. We will be starting next session at 3 p.m. So we will take a short break of 10 minutes and we will resume back at 3 p.m. for the last session of first day FDP. Thank you one and all. Good afternoon. Today's guest speaker, Mr. Prashant Pansare. All participants, I welcome you all for the third session of first day FDP, that is going digital with future technologies and future skills. Now, I take an opportunity to introduce today's resource person, a person who is an innovator at heart, an entrepreneur by profession, Mr. Prashant Pansare, Managing Director, Implement Group and CEO, Rubiscape Private Limited. Prashant sir is a mechanical engineer and a triple MBA in International Marketing, business finance, and corporate HR. With a passion for doing something innovative and impactful, he bootstrapped Implement in 2004 and Rubyscape in 2020. He has been the driving force in growing Implement from its inception in 2004 to today's globally respected big data analytics company. As a true technology visionary, Sir's strength is to identifying and investing in next generation technologies and fostering innovation culture. He founded Rubyscape in 2020, a truly made in India data science product company to promote data culture, design thinking, product incubation by ensuring Rubyscape stays at the forefront of technology innovation. Rubyscape has received the prestigious GS Parquet Award for Product Innovation in Digital India program by NCCI. As an investor, advisor, and mentor, he has helped several startups, innovations, accelerators, and university-led programs in education and future skilling. He has been actively involved and served numerous positions at various professionals and non-profit organizations and has made significant contribution in high-impact CSR projects. Sir has been a recipient of various awards and international recognition, and few of them won the Product Innovation Award by NCCI in the year 2020. He has also invited at Global Innovation Program by Government of Finland 2017 and obtained a $1 million fund R&D funding approval for data science product innovation. He is also an analytics innovation partner for the year 2017 by SAP India. He is affiliated to various organizations. Few of them are former chairman of the Indo-American Chambers of Commerce, Pune, National Knowledge Committee member of Confederation of Indian Industry, NASSCOM National Product Council, mentor and advisory member, ATAL Mission 2020 program, STPI Pune. He is also an academic advisor and visiting professor at IIT, COEP, Humba, PICT, MIT, IMDR, NIA, and IBM. So with this, we are, sir, really eagerly waiting to listen from you, sir. Over to Prashant, sir. Sir, please.
Thanks for that kind introduction. Let me just share my screen. Can you see the screen?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir, your screen is visible.
Yeah, it's beyond
Yes, sir.
20 future skills, right?
Yes, sir.
All right. So thank you for that kind introduction. Before we start, let people see me. So thanks for that kind introduction, and I sincerely thank DY Patil Institute, Group of Institute, and AICT for inviting me to share thoughts as what is happening post-COVID scenario, especially in education, how education is going digital, and what is the impact on industry, and what that industrial impact means to academia. And last few quarters, we are actually going through lockdowns and a lot of social fear as such, and world economies are toppling, and future looks to be very uncertain. Uh, but I don't think future is that bad. In fact, we have a reason to hope, and a lot of good things also happening, especially the academic world. I think the difficult times are almost over for academia as an industry. Maybe next quarter onwards and next academic year, there are a lot of good things that are going to happen. And I'm going to share with you in next about 20-25 minutes about what has been that impact on us, and are we really ready for
the exponential growth opportunity. And it has always been very dear for me to be associated with academia, especially the faculties who have been at the forefront to bring in this change and revolution in Indian industry. uh, Past few years I've been very actively engaged with a lot of faculty development programs as such, because for me it is the mission, it is also our social service, uh, because in true sense, you are the professors, you are the teachers who are shaping up the future of new India. And therefore we feel that it is very important that you should be very well equipped. It is like, I'll give you a different analogy. The Indian Army relies on National Defense Academy, NDA, very much in Pune, for building the army force that can protect India from the enemies, and they can protect us on the borders. And therefore it is very important. Maybe 20 years back you would have a very different technology and weaponry quite a lot.
Sir, you are not audible.
Sir, your voice is not audible.
Hello.
Ha, sir. Yes, sir. Now audible. Thank you.
All right.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So just let me know or ping me in case if my audio is not going through.
Yes, sir, we will let you know.
So it is like, the way,
Sir,
the army.
sir, sorry to interrupt you.
Yes.
Just your PPT is not visible to us.
Is it visible now?
Screen is visible, only the PPT is not visible. So kindly open the PPT.
Okay. I think
I think you are not. Yes, it's in the slideshow mode, visible. The world has changed.
perfect. Thank you, and sorry for that little inconvenience. Because when the world is also going digital, technology is upgrading, so sometimes there are hiccups. So what I was saying is that the way NDA will develop a workforce for Indian Army, you are the professors who are developing economic warriors, the intellectual workforce of India that will be combating, in the global markets of how Indian innovations can achieve the market leadership position. And that is why I certainly feel a lot of excited and delighted when I have to be with the fellow professors, and especially during these faculty development programs. So coming to the theme and topic of the day, the emerging technologies and how we can look at this challenging times with the opportunity lens, particularly Indian industry and the education field. So needless to say, enough has been talked about COVID and its impact and implications. But the bottom line is that it has certainly changed the way we live in the society, the way economies operate, the way countries do their politics or governance, the way industry operates. Our family life has changed, our social life has changed. Needless to mention, the education industry also has changed, right? And it has been disrupted most significantly in last 6 months compared to what has been the evolution of adoption of technology in education sector. We were slowly evolving and towards digitization, but thanks to COVID, suddenly it has changed many things in the digital education or online education. And suddenly, not only the university and institutions have gone, but even the private tutors and small institutions and remote schools also have suddenly gone digital. This is exemplary to any that volume of internet traffic, that volume of adoption of digitization, whether it is gadgets or students and teachers and schools being able to provide infrastructure training. What does this mean is that uh, Indians are so resilient. If you push them in challenging situations, they make best out of it, right? And I really pray God that we should be served with such challenges so that we can become much more innovative and faster. Otherwise it would have been very difficult for us to imagine that how technology would have been adopted by the field of education. What we could have achieved next 5 to 10 years, we have achieved that in last 6 months. And that is why I thought it is very important to discuss the role of technology, the emerging technology. We have already made the beginning, so how, from taking the clue from here, we'll be able to bring in some change. Now if you look at the world is going digital, especially in Indian context. If you actually see, and these are some statistics that I'm presenting to you, which are mainly of last 6 months, right? What has happened is that India today is actually 500 million plus internet users and 450 million smartphones. You can imagine this is a huge population that has gone digital. Now, industry is looking at process automation, remote working, robotics, AR, VR, data science, artificial intelligence, because they want to achieve that superior advantage, right? Uh, and when we are talking about all of this, the internet traffic has grown by 40% in last 2 quarters, which has been most significant in any developed country so far. So this growth rate has been extremely steep, and if you actually look at the balancing impact of it, I think we have been doing considerably well, right? So suddenly, if when the academic year started, probably it took 1 or 2 months maximum a lag to catch up online. But I think the way the education industry has demonstrated to the world that how we can adopt digitized technology, which is not just connecting to internet, which is not just getting your students to sit in front of cameras and laptops, but the content is getting generated. Teachers are being trained at how they're going to be conducting these online workshops. They are using Zoom and Teams type of tools to reach out to the students and making sure that how they are being able to understand. I know there are a plethora of challenges, but tell me otherwise. In what industry in the world has shown such an exemplary skills to bring in change so rapidly? And that is why I feel not only happy but proud of the academia fraternity, the way they have been able to embrace and harness this change. Now, if you look at the last one, the COVID impact section, this is very interesting, right? And in this COVID impact, we are talking about three factors. One is the workforce, and workplace, right? And let me just take a minute to elaborate. When we talk about work, for you it is teaching, for industry it is producing goods and services. So a lot of automation, virtualization, digital technology is introduced, and the way work is done has changed now, right? If you look at the workplace, the workplaces are becoming remote and they're becoming virtual, right? So today teachers are actually working from home, students are at home, and the schools are connecting virtually, right? So your workplaces have also changed, and workforce, if you actually see, they need to be equipped with the future skills, right? You cannot solve tomorrow's problems with yesterday's approaches. The same thing is true here also, right? uh, for example, if I have to speak about information technology sector, uh, industry no longer require .NET and Java programmers, but they need AI engineers, they need machine learning specialists, they need data scientists, they need blockchain specialists, they need robotics, engineers, and so on. If you look at manufacturing, they are looking at people who can actually, operate very, very sophisticated machines, because manufacturing is becoming smart, right? And therefore, it is very important to know that what does this future skilling look like. And this actually sets the context that why it is important for us to look at future skills. I think I was muted by mistake. I hope I'm audible. So the way
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Yeah, so the way it works is that transactions, if you look at interactions and observations, right? This is the way in which we are looking at the world now. So, I'll give you a simple example that how world outside has changed and why it is important for education industry also to understand what is the impact. So earlier we had a linear supply chain. So you would have manufacturers or producers on one side and markets or consumers on the other side. Raw material will go to the factory, assembly lines, the goods will be produced, they will be shipped to the market through distribution channel, and consumers will consume, buy these goods and services, and they will consume. Right? This was a very traditional cycle. That was actually being replaced now by what we call as from industrial economy to a knowledge economy, which is cyber, digital, and all of that. And what is happening now is that we are going to the next level, and from the knowledge economy, we are moving to an experience economy. So today, what is happening is there are creators on one side, there are consumers on the other side, right? And creators are providing their goods and services directly to the consumers. The interesting part is that they are actually reaching out to their consumers and they're providing them their goods and services through what we call as an aggregators, right? And if you look at what I mean, let me simplify that and not speak too much of a technical jargon. So creator is maybe your a t-shirt manufacturer, aggregator is Amazon, and consumer is the person who is buying the t-shirt, right? So this t-shirt manufacturer may be somewhere in Chennai. He is producing his goods and product catalog price and discounting he's putting on Amazon portal, right? And then there is somebody who is actually wanting to buy a t-shirt. He goes to Amazon app on his mobile, and while browsing, he likes the t-shirt with the discount, he's placing an order, right? So what is happening in this whole arena, the aggregators are playing a role of a marketplace, and they are bringing in the suppliers to the global markets, right? Another very good example that all of us know is Uber. So what Uber is bringing in is drivers and riders. It is bringing to the one place. What Swiggy, Zomato is doing, they're bringing in the hotels or rather restaurants and eaters on one place, right? So now what is happening is one side, you just now think about this example. One side you have eyeballs who are constantly looking for something, right? Goods or services. And other side you have content. And content and eyeballs are connected through an internet pipe. Just think about this analogy, right? So eyeballs are looking for a food, they're looking for a movie, they're looking for a taxi ride, and content through mobile application is actually helping you satisfy your need for any good or a service, right? Now that is an emergence. So what is happening is traditional businesses are facing challenges and they're bound to face challenges. So, when Uber is redefining the need for transportation from manufacturing and selling and maintaining a vehicle to just calling a taxi ride and going from one place to another. So they are changing the consumption patterns. They are also influencing the production patterns, right? But the basic need in economy still is existing. What is happening on the other side? That your students are not coming to school, teachers are not going to school, but education is happening because all of them are meeting virtually. on internet pipe using aggregators. So Zoom is your aggregator, Microsoft Teams is your aggregator. Your industry is disrupted already, right? So for that matter, maybe there might be more and more time, a virtual productive time will be spent by teachers and students using these aggregation platforms. The content, knowledge, intelligence, assessment, everything is going to be go digital, right? That will reduce a lot of dependency on other conventional methods, but that will also give a rise to more specialist training, engagement, research, innovation, and all of that. Because we are, saving a lot of time, energy, and money on other things. I'm not at all saying that everything coming up digital way is right and good. It definitely has social implication. It also has a lot of economic implication because naturally, when you are not traveling for work, you may only be able to travel for work. Now that will have an impact on travel industry. That will also have indirect impact on many other industries that actually survive on the tourism or travel, and travel not only international travel but domestic and routine travels as well. That also has a lot of implication on when students are going to a school and they're learning in school, there's a physical contact with their teachers as well as their friends. So we might actually become a bit of a silent society more and more. The nuclear families, nuclear lifestyle, minimalistic living is going to be encouraged, or rather it will be on high growth path going forward. Can we stop it? We can't stop it, but we can certainly handle it in a little better way. Because what was happening is that when this was happening in other industries, we as a consumers were actually liking it a lot. So when you get mobile application which serve, which provides you your banking application, and without going to a bank when you are transacting, and maybe you are buying a Netflix movie on your phone and paying through Paytm or Beam application, you're not going to withdraw money during the lockdown. Everybody enjoyed that, right? I mean, it's completely plastic money. You're not going into bank to withdraw money and physically you're doing it. Even if you're going to a fruit merchant or a sabji wala, they are accepting payments on a Google Pay. So it was convenience, everybody liked it and everybody enjoyed. But what is happening is when the same thing is coming to our industry, then there is a botheration, right? Now, there is always a resistance to change, right? When the change is hitting us. And hence, I feel that education industry in last 2 quarters has done remarkably well in terms of adopting this change. Understand that even if post lockdown things open up, this change is going to create a lasting impact. Everything will not be stored normally to the way it is, and therefore it is very important that we look at things in a very right perspective. So here is something that I wanted to share, that when we specifically talk about data science, we talk about artificial intelligence, machine learning, predictive analysis, advanced analytics, and so on. So that industry is divided into these 3-4 pillars, right? Data engineering, data science, and data stories. So data engineering, when we talk about, and I'll give these simple examples of the Ubers and Swiggy and Zomato. So the data engineering is that where are you sourcing your customer data from? When you are booking a ride in Uber and going from one place to another, you are actually, your location is being captured by the mobile application automatically, right? So Uber has integrated Google Maps, and because Google Maps is integrated, the content in Google Map is also not created by Uber, nor it has been created by the consumer or even a taxi driver. Somebody has already put that, if I'm in Aund area and I want to go to Deccan and I'm booking a cab, I have not created a listing of that particular Deccan place, but somebody else has done. So what we're doing is we are doing crowdsourcing, and through API integration, the location data we are ingesting into an application, and when I book a ride, a driver accepts the ride, he comes to the location, he picks me up, and it says that it is a 7 kilometer journey, 50 minutes, and maybe 100 rupee as a fare. So what happens in the traffic jam? My waiting time is going, or there is a some road accident that has happened, or traffic is being diverted from other location. The moment taxi driver takes another route, the Google map is recalculating the route and giving you the distance and time to reach, also the traffic situation on that route. But your Uber application instantaneously recalculating the fare and possible time to reach there. Now this is artificial intelligence at its best. Nobody's doing it, things are happening automatically, and you are being alerted when you keep your map on. It is just giving you certain alerts at appropriate stages, and if you make your application voice enabled, it is also giving you the commentary. So when you look at these kind of simple examples, data engineering is the branch that actually helps you connect using the APIs, using different connectivity systems to unstructured data. Unstructured data is your location, devices, sensors, telecom networks. All of this is actually happening through this data engineering, that you're connecting to the data, you're bringing the data to your factory or refinery, a data factory, where you are applying different kinds of treatment to make this data ready. So location type of a data, image, video, speech, or noise, analyzing the MP3 files, how you're being able to convert that, right? So all of these things are handled in data engineering. Then when you're going into a data science, you have the predictive intelligence, you're forecasting, you have text mining. There are so many specialized branches of data science that you're applying there, where you are enriching the data value, you're modeling it, you're exploring it, you're applying your hypothesis, you're doing the data exploration and data testing, and then you are arriving at how can you find the root cause of the problem that you're trying to solve, right? And once that data model is ready, you're creating an output, and that data output is going to your visualization software, which can tell the story of data, right? Now this is the value chain. So when you're telling the story of data or visualizations, the visualization tools are so mature now that at a glance it immediately tells you what you're looking for. And again, simple example that I'll give you, while you're riding on using Google Map, and it actually shows you the map on the route, and it also shows you in red where are the traffic congestions and what is the expected time. And because it is monitoring, calculating that using Google Earth, a real image processing technique, and it is also giving you the estimated time. Now for you it is actually almost free, right? How they manage it, it's a little different subject, we can talk about that later on. But understand, this is image processing, video analytics, and AI, which is in your pocket and you're using it free. Now point I'm making is that when mass number of users are using it every now and then, there is a demand for these skills in the market, right? And today industry is demanding that we need AI engineers, we need people who can actually help us in making sense of geo data, image processing data, satellite image processing. We are looking at deep learning specialists, we are looking at blockchain specialists, right? So we have developed this made in India software, Rubyscape, which is an award-winning software, which actually provides the visual studio as a data science workbench. And you can see these pictures that actually shows that how you do data mapping, how you move and lift and shift of data, how you apply certain techniques when you're reading the data from the sources, by doing aggregations, summations, you're doing different kinds of data integration, data wrangling that you're doing. And when you create an output of that data, you push that into data visualization software, right? Some of the popular ones are Microsoft Power BI or Tableau. So we have built technologies like parallel to that, which are completely made in India technology. And this schematic actually talks about when we say data science, there are so many different aspects and avenues of data science, and how they are mapped to a made in India platform, right? So there is a compute engine that actually enables and run the platform engine, and the platform engine is basically for enterprise and for academia. And there is a separate version for academia, for not just learning, but when you're doing virtual internships, when you're undertaking your projects, maybe engineering projects and stuff like that, they are mini products or they are mini use cases that you're developing. And that requires again a compute engine. If somebody is actually doing sentiment detection using social media, somebody is doing satellite imaging by understanding the impact of the weather, right? Somebody is actually doing depression analysis due because of the lockdown, right? When you have these type of use cases, you need a very powerful platform engine, which is been helping in building and tuning your models using app engine, right? So the app engine actually is bringing specialized data science tool sets on the platform where there is only one single software interface. The simple analogy that I can share with you is that like MS Office. So when you have MS Office, you have Word, PowerPoint, Excel. Every tool has a very specialist purpose, and that tool help you in doing things very easy and faster. In short, what we have done is that most of you are familiar with Python or R. Python actually allows you to do your data science model building using scripting mechanism, whereas RubyScape gives you a completely visual front end, not only to drag drop, but it actually inherits all the features of R and Python, but provides you much more powerful library and list of algorithms and data science techniques to be able to do your data science easy, fast, and smart, right? Imagine, I mean, some of you may remember 10 years back for virtual connectivity, you would use net meeting for screen sharing. You will have, maybe BSNL or somebody other dial-up connection and a conference bridge services. So you're talking about 3, 4 services, right? Today, what you do is you just send a Zoom meeting request. Somebody accepts it, clicks on that link, and all of us are online, and we're using built-in audio and video, right? So see the way things have changed. The same applied here as well. And that is what actually brings us to a very important topic, that what does future hold, because work, technology, the skills requirement is changing very fast. So what we have done is we have packaged this application by creating a integrated LMS, learning management system, that we work with the institutions and universities like yours. And what you can do is simply plug play this with your elective courses. When you want to undertake a data science course, we give you the software, we give you knowledgeware, we give you virtual internships, we give you faculty development program, we give you assignments and industry problem statements, and everything comes to you in box, so that maybe 6 months to 1 year you are being able to develop an end-to-end data scientist or a data engineer that can handle the entire complex value chain that is required for data science projects, which are very high in demand now. Smart city or so many other government initiatives, they are all they demand these future skills. And what does this Rubyversity digital appliance means to you is that Rubypedia is a complete knowledge base, digital knowledge base of the software that is available to you on a fingertip on mobile devices, whether it is video lectures or any theory concept, open source, and RubyScape related product modules, its simulators, everything is available to you using internet on your mobile devices as well. The Ruby Quest is research publications. It also allows a lot of faculties to jointly develop research papers, develop models, publish them on marketplace, even publish them to the marketplace, so that we encourage researchers and faculties to come forward and also become certified data science professors. Ruby Talks is the library of all online lectures, and so there can be a peer learning, there can be an easy learning and stuff like that. Now, why we have packaged all of this together in one box is that whether it is a faculty or a student, they need to innovate, right? So they need to ideate, incubate, and launch their ideas and products, right? And because the future of work is going to be driven by automation and virtual and digital technologies, there are going to be less and less jobs. So when there are going to be less jobs, how can we equip students with the innovation and entrepreneurship opportunity? How we also equip them with future skills for better employability? And that's the long story short. So how we have mapped it is that when there is a student, how that student can go to a data scientist stage. So one side you have skills and competency, and other side you have time and experience that they will gather, right? And I'm now talking about certain packets which might not be conventional 10 plus 2 plus 4 plus 2, and then you're a postgraduate. But we are talking about whether it can be 8th standard student, 12th standard student, second in engineering student, or an engineer pass out, PhD, or even an MTech student, right? Within 1 year, how they can completely equip themselves with knowledge, with tool sets, and they're ready to rock in the global markets, right? It is like Mossads, from Israel. Mossads are not high in numbers, but they are very effective because they are very well equipped. We recently had our dear Hollywood star Sean Connery passed away, the James Bond, right? Why James Bond was famous? He's actually the American version of Rajnikant because he could do something unthinkable and he would be always equipped with the machinery that nobody else will have, and he probably will be able to destroy the army's one-man army, right? That is what is actually happening in edtech space. That how these kind of specialist skills that are required by the institutions, by the students, by the faculties, so that they can quickly equip themselves to be able to work like a data scientist solving some of the global and complex problems. So the module one, boot camp to a virtual internship, and then when you're actually doing your hackathons and ideation, you're actually building the product, and you're ready to, be employed, or you're ready to be a student entrepreneur, and you're toying with ideas and you're presenting your ideas on India Hackathon. Somebody likes it, picks it up from there. The student, faculty, even institutions is actually being able to, make their fortune. So that's the way in which today industry is seeking collaborations with academia. Academia is looking at setting up innovation incubators and how they can actually bring in this kind of a platform to the campus, so that student entrepreneurs, student innovators, and employability can be fostered, which is making them industry ready quickly, right? These are some of the thoughts that how you can apply design thinking to solve the problem, and how you can solve that problem globally. So if you look at what are the impacts that you can create, industry, it's completely industry agnostic. Take for example, automotive, telecom, banking, or any kind of industry. In automotive, you may actually look at self-driving cars, right? So what is a self-driving car? It actually does image processing and video analytics in real time. It employs deep learning techniques. And if you can provide an environment and a platform in your institution, so that instead of doing library management system kind of a project, students are actually trying their hands on video analytics and video imaging. And maybe somebody is actually putting that in a self-driving car, but somebody is putting that at airports surveillance system, where anybody actually is walking in or out of the airport, and by doing an image processing and face recognition, they're being able to analyze and match that data with a terrorist database. So if any person found suspicious there, you're probing with that person's face recognition, and you being able to provide a safety to the airports. Now understand, by using data science solutions and tool set, what you're doing is building some innovative application, and maybe that can be used by all airports, because that is a need of our today. So when you look at these kind of use cases, what kind of personas where you want to skill and certify, the students, whether it is a data scientist, data architect, analyst, or the analytics leader, and so on. When you look at the platforms, there are platforms like Rutyscape or Cloudera, Amazon, TensorFlow, Python. You're actually bringing all of this together and making or delivering that efficiency, what we call as the faculties are developing the digital warriors from India for the global markets. And that is the reason why I gave you analogy of the army skill development. So let me take a pause. It has been little fast and rapid presentation, I know, because in the interest of time, I thought, let me just give you this quick perspective. And I think the time for India has come where we have to be proud to be Indian by Indian. And that's why we are here to very keenly extend our helping hand and technology to AICT and all the institutions, where you can actually, try this, give this to students to make their hands dirty, build some Indian innovations for the global markets. So let me take a pause, and madam, with your permission, if there are any questions, I would be more than glad to answer them.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much for such an informative session. I request participants, if you have any question, either you can unmute yourself or you can put your questions in chat box.
Well, I'm not been able to find a chat option here. Participants.
Sir, after the participants, there is a tab poll, and after that tab, there is a chat.
I don't know whether it's a presenter view,
And
but I've
sir,
not been able to locate. But yeah, I would be happy to answer questions if there are any.
Prashant sir, can I ask you a question?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Okay.
The last slide of your presentation carries the tag Be Indian, Buy Indian. Hello.
Yes.
Yeah. So could you please explain us that, how do we drive this to the roots of India? Because this has been continuously, every decade there is a, such a saying which is very common in India. Okay, but when we look at on ground reality, there is not much happening about on this actually.
Absolutely. Sorry, but can I get your name, please?
My name is SM Tariq,
And you're from?
Pune.
Okay, fantastic. Very good question. Very close to my heart. In fact, till now there were not too many options. Now that you have an option, and this is not a sales pitch. Last 2 years we have been investing in building Indian technology, and Rubyscape is a truly made in India software. We are India's first end-to-end data science platform. We have not only borrowed open source or some proprietary platform and just created a wrapper for developing one solution, but like Azure Machine Learning or SaaS, this is an end-to-end data science platform that has been built made in India right from the first line of code. So I totally agree that there were no options. But if you look at the mobile handset manufacturers, electronic companies, there are companies now coming up and setting up in India. So my urge would be there are some foreign companies in Europe who have adopted Rubyscape in their universities. We would be very happy to work with your institutions and universities to provide you access, knowledge, opportunities to innovate using this Made in India platform. Let me make also one very responsible statement with it. Indian innovations and Indian products are also looked upon not in the right light, but they are considered Indian innovations is generally being talked as Jugaad innovation. Trust me, it is no longer a Jugaad innovation. You have to try it to believe it, right? And it can give you so much of a simplified and sophisticated advanced machine learning in an extremely self-service kind of a manner. Nobody has taught you how to use LinkedIn and Facebook. You have done it DIY, do it yourself, right? It's almost similar, and that kind of a easy software. Again, I'm not pitching the software, but we certainly want to equip Indian universities, local universities and institutions to adopt more Indian innovations. There's a big movement that is happening in India right now called data sovereignty movement, right? Government of India has taken a very serious and a strict stand on this. What they are saying is that the data about Indian users on the Indian soil, data that is generated on Indian soil by Indian users, must remain in India. And that is the reason why so many Chinese apps are being banned. And they said under no circumstances this data should go out, right? That has a huge economic implication also. We have also given some signal to the international tech community, investor community, right? But that has resulted into immediately Microsoft, Facebook, Apple type of companies jumping on Indian markets. They're saying that we will do it locally. Understand, ZTE and Huawei type of companies are banned to bid in smart city project in India, and comparatively expensive technologies like Qualcomm or the Ericsson's of the world, they're coming in and setting up the 5G networks in India. Now, what does that mean is that even if you're a foreign company, you have to comply the local norms. And when you are actually looking at these kind of technologies that are coming in, the adoption of this technology. Look at Startup Accelerator, look at Smart City. Every smart city project that we see in India, 90 to 95% of the technology spend is going to the foreign companies as innovation royalty. When it would be that Indian companies will start and Indian innovators will start building up these kind of things, right? I mean, develop a robotic vacuum cleaner using sensors and cameras, right? You get those sensors and cameras in the local market, have software like Rubyscape, have some softwares that actually does RPA locally, and undertake these as a pilot projects and let your students demonstrate that in hackathons, get the funding and start scaling up and start setting up as potential innovations that are happening from India. So academia, my urge would be that stop looking at students as a students who are coming to you for some exam oriented knowledge, pass the exam and go away, but look at them as your next innovators. They can build something in campus that can be going to the global markets. Look at Stanford University for that matter. What does Stanford do? They offer the same MBA that most of the other B schools offer. But Stanford is different because they have a huge startup accelerator, student accelerator. And some of the famous startups there are Facebook, right? And we need to change our mindset. Our habits are changing. Last 6 months, academia has shown that if time comes, they can very fast change everything. Now we have to continue with that change and also start looking at the way students are saying that, okay, now I'm going to engineering colleges by paying fees, and maybe 1 month before the exam I'll study, pass the exam and go to the next class. Are they going to the university and a college saying that, hey, I'm going to my innovation incubator and I'm not only going to learn engineering, but I'm going to apply some of my learning in putting some things together, and then you have an auditorium. So let somebody actually develop an IoT intelligent system, how they can control the room temperature ACs by doing some image processing, by doing a head count from those smart cameras that are actually being put there for surveillance, right? And there are so many problem statements, there are so many such innovative ideas that can solve big problems. And if a student is actually doing this, that I will do a head count and activity monitoring in my school or a college auditorium, now can he just make that small app and actually sell it to the homemakers, where the working women are installing that camera at their home when they're going away, and they can monitor the activity of a child. If the child is being asked to study and then watch a cartoon for maybe only half an hour, the camera will actually give a beep to the mom that he's not studying, right? I mean, I'm not hinting on the policing part of it and the privacy part of it, but just imagine that if you're doing something, solving a problem using technology, you can actually create a huge market opportunity with it, right? That's the point I'm making. So there are some options made in India available, but what happens is that most of the time we are obsessed that even the academia wants only foreign companies labs to come in their campus, and they feel honored that if foreign companies are throwing lakhs of packages on their students. See, that is where we spoil our minds. When they're coming in first year, second year, give them some innovation. So they are not, we are not conditioning them only to run the rat race, because even if they win, they will end up being a rat. If they become innovators, world will come to them for innovation, and your institute also will be known by the innovators rather than only producing a population that is going in the foreign countries for a job. I mean, personally, I have stayed back in India with my choice, not that because I was not getting a opportunity overseas. Now, today you will see that this is growing. A lot of people want to stay in India because there's a huge opportunity here. Look at our internet user, look at our consumption of internet that has happened. Look at what some of the telecom companies are being able to take a giant leap to capture the market and understand you cannot think and survive without a data now, right? Mobile internet, we are world's cheapest mobile internet economy. And there are incredible things that we can do with this. And institutions can play much bigger and deeper role in terms of shaping future. And I'm making a responsible statement. They can play a role even more important than the government, because government is not actually developing future citizens, but you are. And if you are developing only rather than students who are seeking jobs, if you develop future innovators and future changers, sky is the limit for India. Any other questions? I hope I have not eaten up on anybody else's time.
So good afternoon.
Yeah.
Sir, can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
So according to you, what is the success rate that you feel the online education has achieved?
Well, actually, it's not a question for me because I'm not an educationist, but it's like a googly. I will try and answer. Uh, well, success is again very subjective in
And
this.
also why I asked that question because, sir, do you think technology has succeeded in its like implementation to reach to students and teachers?
Well, honestly speaking, technology has enabled students and teachers to come together virtually during the lockdown. So it's a big success. Now, your question is tricky because how many online education goals that we've been able to achieve, that can be subjective, right? But if you look at the space at which we have done it, is mind blowing. It's mind blowing what last 10 years education industry has not been able to achieve. They have achieved it and demonstrated to the world in last 6 months. I'm sure there are many rural areas where internet or connectivity device availability is a problem. There are slums, I mean, some of the staff that works at our office or our homes, we know that they stay in one room and everyone in the member does not have a mobile, smart camera, internet or a laptop. But still, if you actually see, the population to infrastructure deficit is so huge. In spite of that, we as a country have done incredibly well. And hence, I'm an optimistic thinker. I will give full marks to academia, especially the teachers, for their patience, for adopting change, right? There are many challenges, that teachers and institutions are facing, no doubt about it. But look at it also from a positive eye, right? And we have a long way to go. But last 6 months, what we have done is incredibly well, right? Some of the people that I will sincerely salute, one is the healthcare staff in India during the lockdown and COVID situation. The second one comes to my mind is the teachers. Because, sitting at home when we see our, kids are actually taking online classes, our respect towards teachers and professors has, doubled. Because we now know the challenges that they face, but trust me, overall it has been great experience.
So there is one question
Yeah.
from one participant. Can you elaborate the role of Rubicast in App Engine?
Yes, Rubicast is basically a forecasting engine that allows you to do your modeling for doing the forecasting, and it automates that process of forecasting. So Ruby Studio is a tool that has three products like MS Office has Word, PowerPoint, Excel. It has a prediction engine, it has forecasting engine, and it has text mining engine. And all these three tools are put together in one single software. So it provides you very easy to do, data science. You don't have to, I mean, it's like, if you go in industry 25, 30 years back, there would be finance team that will actually work with people with the skill on spreadsheet, Lotus 123 or Excel, right? But today, this is no longer a skill. Everybody is expected to know MS Office, Word, PowerPoint, Excel. So what we are doing is we are democratizing data science by bringing in tools together and also skilling people in a manner where you are not discriminating them that, okay, these are these tool specialists. We look at data science as a function in a holistic way, and that is where we have disrupted, because there are many foreign companies and products that actually provide them as independent software license. It requires different skill and certification. What we have done is that put everything in one single box and made it even more smarter.
Okay, thank you, sir. Last question.
Yes.
There is a last question. API integration, how we can use in the data engineering?
Well, that's a good question. API orchestration, or rather API plays a role to connect to your data science ecosystem. Now, I gave you an example of Uber. Uber is a mobile application that actually brings drivers and riders together. But underneath that, so what this mobile application does is that it creates user profiling, payment gateway, and it provides you transaction ability. But underneath, Uber is a very powerful data science engine. And I gave you an example of Google Maps. So Uber using API will connect to the Google Map. Uber using API will connect to Paytm payment gateway, right? So that is a role of API engine or API technology, where you are bringing in the external data points into the application, and these are OTT or mobile applications, right? There is also an interesting Rubyscape is going to help teachers. Now, if you ask me, that's actually a completely green field. There's are incredible opportunities for institutions and teachers, especially because when teachers becomes skilled, certified data scientists, they are not only teachers; they themselves become innovator. Right? You're teaching statistics, and you're teaching people statistics that how they can use these techniques to solve some problems using complex data structures. Now, why you yourself don't become a problem solver? So we look at professors as problem solvers, and they should actually also become consultants and advisors to the startups, the student startups, because students may actually have an energy and a programming and a skilling part. But the professors, and if you actually look at in CILP, which is the IIM Ahmedabad's incubator, most of the startup advisors are their own professors, right? And these trends are also coming to India. It's no longer only in Harvard and Stanford. So we see certainly the professor fraternity can play a very catalyzing role in taking this to the next level.
Okay. Any other questions from the participants?
Yeah, I would like to
Hello.
just add. Hello. Yeah, I am Mr. Tojo Thomas from Manipal.
Yes,
Yeah, I
Thomas.
have a small question. Not a question, it's just an extension of what you said. I would rather like to make the observation that unless an academician in a particular academic setup himself doesn't change and adapt, there is very little that the national education policy can actually help. So in your system, you talked about the predictor engine and a forecasting engine. I have a small doubt that whether you have kept a scope for an inference engine, because that would make it more holistic and convert it into a complete decision support system, maybe an expert system. In case we have a lot of inferencing that we are going to add, inferencing capabilities being added to forecasting and prediction.
Session. Thank you. Yes.
Yeah. So, is there an inferencing capability, sir, in that system that you talked about?
Absolutely. See, when you're talking about descriptive diagnostic, predictive and perceptive analytics, you're talking about deriving certain inferential hypothesis based reporting and recommendation. It is built in.
Right.
Now those inferences is something that you go on building as you start using the tool. It is like, I am using Excel. So first I have to learn what is Excel. I learn that from tabulation methods. And once I learn that, what I'm going to do is build my ratio analysis template. So the moment I build my ratio analysis, it actually becomes very handy and useful to chartered accountants. So now those techniques and that support is available in Excel sheet. It is just that you have to use it to your benefit to build that whatever the inferences are. In fact, we have gone one step ahead. There are report commentaries available. It does very powerful text processing as a built-in engine. So when you're actually deriving these insights, you can also have the commentaries that go on describing.
Right.
Yeah, so DBS Bank in Singapore is one of the first international customer for this product. They use it in their risk classification division for doing what they call as a news analysis, which is a unstructured data. That's where they use this.
Absolutely.
I mean, if anybody has interest, you can simply drop a mail to hello@rubyscape.com. We would be happy, our team would be happy to talk to you, also provide an access trainings to faculties, some select members, so that they can play with this and understand that what it is and how you can take this to a next level. In chat I'm putting this email address so that becomes easy for everybody. It is hello@ Ruby Scape, RUBI SCAPE.com. You can drop a mail here. You can address it to Sonali madam, and we'll be more than happy to connect with you and support how we can take this Made in India movement forward.
Right, right. Sir, do you have a support for BNY also by any chance?
What is BNY?
BNY Melon. It is operating out of Pune and Chennai. I am sure it has got an office at Pune.
Yes, it does have an office in Pune. It's a private company.
Right.
I mean, they have not so far used this software, but if they are interested, we would be more than happy to connect with them and discuss.
Okay, okay, sir.
Yeah. All right.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, madam, over to you.
Yeah. Thank you, sir, for such an insightful and informative session. Really, your presence makes the entire session glorious and motivates the younger generation to develop their personality by unbeatable skills, sir. We look forward to your session in future as well, sir. Thank you once again, sir, for your valuable time. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Good day.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, bye.
Dear participants, with this, we conclude the sessions for today. Thank you one and all for your enthusiastic participation in this FDP journey. With the same enthusiasm, let's meet tomorrow at 10:15. Tomorrow, second day of FDP will start at 10:30. First session will start at 10:30. So we request all the participants to join before 10:30. At 10:15, you can join for the first session of second day FDP. The link of the session, tomorrow's session, will be shared through email and on WhatsApp group. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you,
Thank
ma'am.
you
very
so
much,
much
madam.
for a wonderful
And all the,
session. Thank you so much.
thank you, team.
Thank
And
you.
madam.
Thank you, ma'am. Bye.
Thank you so much, ma'am.